Hey guys, Big Boy here. Alright, I want to review a book today that was one of the first books that I ever reviewed on this channel. The reason I am re-reviewing it is because my old review, like many others, was not too good. Alright, and I've had a year, almost a complete year, to digest this amazing book. So this review, I'm hoping, will be very informational, and I'm really going to try and sell this thing to you. So we're talking about Stephen King's It. Alright, so Stephen King's It really did get me back into reading. I had read The Body a few months prior to this, and that was the first book that I had read for my own leisure in years. It really was. So I decided, let's get another one of this guy's books. I was very ignorant to like authors and stuff, and I was just like, where do I start? There's literally hundreds of thousands of options. I went ahead and I bought Stephen King's It. That was one of the best decisions I had ever made in my entire life. This book really opened the door to reading for me. If it wasn't for this book, I probably wouldn't have even made Big Boy Reviews' channel, or I wouldn't have continued it because I made it before I did the review, but it probably wouldn't I probably wouldn't be posting videos on this channel if it wasn't for this book, because this really showed me that books are awesome. It is 1,138 pages. Seems like a lot, doesn't it? It goes by just like this. When I was reading this book, I would catch myself reading 100 pages at a time. I really would. It just captivates you, and you feel like you are growing up with the people that are in this book, and it's just a very awing experience. So the book is about 7 kids in a town called Derry. It is located in Maine. Fictionally, it's not a real town because I live in Maine and I would know. These 7 kids all meet at different times, and there's a lot of flashbacks in this book, and it kind of like shows how they all intertwine. All their stories intertwine. Each chapter is in a different person's perspective. And they all end up friends, and they become best friends, and it's really awesome. In the town of Derry is something else. See the talon there? That's a little indicator on what it is. It's nothing good. Stalking the town of Derry for hundreds of years is something known as Pennywise the Dancing Clown, or aka It. Among his hobbies are stalking, eating, and destroying children's lives. The story is completely disturbing, very thrilling, just about everything a horror fan would ever want. The book starts out, and Mike Hanlon, which was one of the 7 original friends, is calling all of the other friends, basically reporting that It is back. Now, Mike is the only one who stayed in Derry when they all grew up. The other 6 went, like Bill Denbrough, for example, he's in England. They're basically all scattered throughout the world, basically. He reports the bad news, and they all have to kind of like do a little reunion, get back together, because they need to stop this thing once and for all. I love the characters so much in this book. I really do. Eddie Kaspbrak, he is kind of a mama's boy, but not by his own will. His mom pampers him, and I relate myself a lot to Eddie. Sad to say. Eddie was my favorite character in this book. I really loved his personality. He was completely awesome, and just an excellent character. You have Bill Denbrough, which is kind of like a highlight character, maybe the main one. He is a guy with a stutter, or at least he had a stutter when he was a kid, and his brother Georgie was murdered by It right in the very first pages of the book, and he kind of has a really demented life in a way. You have Stan Uris. Now, Stan, he is a bird watcher, basically. He was kind of, how do I say this nicely? Kind of the least developed character in the whole book, but, some people might still like him. There's Mike Hanlon. He is black, and he kind of gets some crap for that in the book, and you really hate the people that give him crap because he's such a nice guy. I really liked Mike. There's Ben Hascom. He's always been overweight his whole life. Well, as a kid at least. He ends up losing that weight when he gets older, but he gets so much crap for that in the flashback sequences, and you really love Ben. He's an awesome character. I love Ben to death. You have Richie Tozier, which I think of Stephen King as being Richie for some reason, because Stephen King actually has a radio station up in Bangor, Maine. I went to it, and I actually have a t-shirt with that he gave me. Not Stephen King, but his radio host. They gave it to me because I went there one time. But yeah, Richie is a radio host, and he reminds me a lot of Stephen King for some reason. He always has, like witty comebacks, and he's kind of like the comic relief in the book. He's really awesome too. You have Beverly Marsh. She is the only female in the Losers Club, which they call themselves. She is a very strong character, and she has some very dark scenes in this book. I really, really liked her. She was a really good female character. I think Stephen King does an excellent job with all the characters that he developed over 1,138 pages. My favorite parts in the entire book were the Derry interlude sequences. These were chapters that Mike Hanlon wrote. He's a librarian, and he just kind of like writes them as little diary entries, basically going over the history of the town of Derry. This is where the most creepy things happen. You could seriously just cut out all those little interludes and make a little mini book by them, just them. I think that there were 4 in total, and each one just had a different sequence in history. One of them actually related to Mike Hanlon's dad, and how the KKK like kind of chased him down. And in each one, Pennywise the Dancing Clown makes an appearance in the most disturbing way. They are pure gold chapters, they really are. The story gets very emotional at some parts. I remember crying. I remember just laughing hysterically. This book just brought so many emotions upon me, and I was scared to death, obviously. You do get a lot more emotions mixed in, more than just horror. The book totally implies, by the cover, the disturbing cover, that it's just horror, but no, you get a lot more than just that. If you're new to books or Stephen King, if you just want to get into Stephen King, I highly recommend reading it first. Now, that might set a few people back, especially if you are not used to reading, and this is a very big brick to start with. But I promise you that it will go by a lot faster than you think, and you won't want it to end. You really won't. On my last page in this book are little stains. Those little stains are from my eyes. I cried because I didn't want this thing to end. I'm not even kidding, and I'm not a wuss. I'm really not. That was kind of hard to put this thing away. Now, they made a It movie, or a miniseries. I never, ever plan on watching that. I do not want to break down my experience with this book. I've gone a year without watching it. I can go the rest of my life without watching it. I heard that, well, even if it was good, I probably wouldn't even watch it. Just because I had such a gold experience with the book that I don't even want to ruin anything. Like, I might have imagined something different, and then the director portrayed it differently, and then it would just kind of like screw up my thought process. And if I ever wanted to go back and read the book, I would get to that scene, I would remember, I'd be like, yeah, this isn't as good as it was the first time. And I don't want that to happen, so the movie will never be seen by my eyes. Trust me. I will be rereading it. Before I die, this thing will be falling apart. This copy that I have, this hardcover, this will be falling apart. It's already kind of beat up. Just for me, I bought it brand new, but it will have been destroyed by the time I'm done with it, I swear. So It by Stephen King gets a 10 out of 10, the highest rating possible, whatever you want to call it. This book is a treasure, and this book is basically a large part of my childhood, or my youthhood, because I wasn't really a child when I read this. I just wanted to re-review this, and that's what I did, and I hope that this review was a bit more informational than my last one. My last one, like I said, you couldn't even hear me in it because I was using an iPod Touch. It was a mess. I might even delete it. But there you go. There is my re-review for Stephen King's It. Go out and get this book if you haven't already. I swear it will be amazing. Thank you for watching, and peace out.